On this episode of the Procedurally Generated Show, Tony plays chicken and Ethan dies twice. We talk about all the week's biggest news, including Nintendo's most recent Nintendo Direct, and we answer your questions. Well, howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Procedurally Generated Show. I'm your host, Tony, and joining me this week, I've got Ethan.
I'm really glad we're recording this tonight and not last night,
Why?
because it would have been horrible. There would have been hell hitting the side of the walls and the roof of the house here, and the rain, and just the lightning and thunder.
Well, it's been raining here all day, and we had a little bit of lightning and thunder before we got on to start recording the shows.
It lasted till like 2 o'clock, Tony.
Oh, yeah, well, I
On and
think
off
ours
with the hell,
is done.
particularly, man.
I think we're done. So,
Just keep pushing it east.
yeah, just way past us. I wouldn't mind a good thunderstorm, but they're generally not good whenever you're trying to record a podcast.
No, they're not.
I'm pretty sure we've recorded podcasts with thunderstorms in the background if you listen closely to some of them. But
There's
I
been
tried.
some recorded with fireworks in the background, too.
It's true. And then, when I first started, fire trucks driving by every 15 minutes, it seemed like. So
Ugh.
we've had lots of different things in the background of the show. So, but rather than talking about that, let's talk about some video games. What do you want to talk about this?
Oh gosh, how do you pronounce the name of this game?
I think it's Sekiro or
Sekiro?
Sekiro. I don't really know, actually.
Anyway, it's the new FromSoft game, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Sakurai. Is that
Sakurai, there we go.
right?
Oh, man. So this is the new FromSoft game that is very much a Souls-based game.
I've heard people that are, big Souls fans say that this is a game that even for Souls fans, this game is not messing around.
This game is tough, especially right now. It's tough because it's a completely different system of combat on here.
Hmm.
Kind of like going to Bloodborne, how that was a completely different thing where people are used to like, oh, I have a shield, I can block, and then it's like, well, now I have a gun and a sword. What do I do? This one, it's all feudal Japan, so uh, while there may be a gun here and there, it's really just I have a sword and then this prosthetic arm because I lost mine and I'm a ninja.
Oh,
But that's the cool part because you have a grappling hook in your arm, then you get some upgrades for it, like your shuriken launcher and an axe and maybe like a flamethrower or something.
that sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, this game is kind of difficult.
I don't think kinda is the right word for it.
Well, about a year from now, I'm sure everyone will be like, "Oh yeah, just do this," and bam, boss is dead, or
Yeah.
the ever
Well,
famous "get good."
people will naturally just figure it out as time goes on, and they'll figure out strategies that work, glitches they can do, and exploits and things like that. But for the first few weeks, yeah, it's going to be, I imagine, pretty difficult for a lot of people.
It it is very difficult, but I do like how it looks. Just you're in an actual, well, I guess a semi-actual location for once,
Yeah.
not just this random mess of architecture that may or may not be a castle or a tomb or some kind of weird amalgamation of the two.
May or may not be a castle.
Yeah, it could just be like a hole in the ground for all we know.
Oh well, I guess that's true.
I mean, this one's kind of got that going on, especially in various villages and stuff, where it's kind of more than it should be in the design, but not really. But the areas, they are extremely huge to explore and easy to get lost in.
Yeah.
And instead of just being uh, doomed to walk the ground, you can now grapple onto obstacles and get around, and dedicated jump button of all things. and
What?
and you can grab ledges and double and like jump and then push off a ledge for a double jump sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just this craziness added on top of a already existing system,
Okay.
and I love it, and it's very stealth based as well. So I will be playing a lot of this in the coming, I guess, weeks at the
Yeah. Well,
current
this is
rate
the
that
kind
I'm
of game.
going.
This is the kind of game that's just right up your alley, though. So
Yeah, I mean, I love the Souls games, and I really like any game uh, that does stealth really well. And this is
yeah.
just slap two of them together, and there we go.
Yeah. Speaking of stealth games, I saw that Metal Gear Survive was on sale this week, and I almost bought it.
How much was it?
$12.
It's like $5 cheaper than what I got it for.
Yeah. It's still there. I don't know that it's one of those games I would play very much.
It it has a very tough barrier to entry, but once you get past that barrier, it's pretty smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only downside is you don't want to do the multiplayer until you're like level 20 in that, so I'll just leave it at that.
Well, how much fun is the game to play single player?
It's still the barrier to entry.
Okay.
I'm sure you would probably. And wait, are we talking Metal Gears?
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to play Sekiro. Um, that's just not going to happen. Not
Not
because
with
I,
that attitude.
no, it's not because I don't think it's a good game. It's just I know that that's not the style of game that I tend to enjoy playing.
I don't know. I mean, this one's not like, oh, you're dealing with the dead. It's you're in a world of people and you're doing stuff,
Yeah,
and it's not just it. It is very different compared story wise, very different, but they still work in the reason why you can die and come back.
I wonder if they're going to drop a demo for this at any point.
I mm, I doubt it at this point.
So,
I mean, if they were
because
gonna do it, they would have already did it like they did with the others.
yeah, I suppose that's true. But I was going to say like what they did on the Switch with Dark Souls, but that was a network stress test more than a demo.
Yeah, I would really love just to see the results of what they're looking for and what they're getting and such on those. Of course, the game still came out, so I guess they got the results they wanted.
Yeah, yeah. The game didn't get delayed, and there's not been any major issues that I've heard of. So I think it's safe to say that the game is performing as they hoped on Switch.
So yeah, I'll be playing Sekiro for. Yeah, I'm gonna call it Sekiro. I don't know how to pronounce its name. I'll be
Uh,
playing that for a little while. I do plan to beat this game. Just it is tough.
yeah.
And it helps if I don't bite my tongue while talking. So Tony, what have you been playing?
Oh, let's see. I've been playing a bunch of stuff. I played a couple missions in Monster Hunter, or a couple quests in Monster Hunter this week.
We really need to
Um,
work on that game with you.
and it's one of those that I've put in, if I've got a few minutes here or there, um, just to try to get through some of those early game missions, and get to the point where I have, a little bit of armor and stuff to be able to survive against some of the bigger monsters. Um, but other than that, I've also been playing a bunch of uh, a game that I have had crazy amounts of fun playing with my son this week, and that is Ultimate Chicken Horse.
I've heard of this game.
So that I've played this before. I played it at a game night with some of the guys here in town before, um, but and it was on sale I think this week for a little bit. So I grabbed it with some birthday money that I had. Uh, but for anybody that doesn't know what it is a platformer, but it's sort of party puzzle platformer is what I like to call it.
I call it the build your platformer.
It is a sort of build your own platformer. But what happens is you pick a character. I think there's four characters to start with from the beginning,
I want to
and you
say
unlock
there's
you unlock additional characters as you go along.
I want to say there's like 10 characters altogether.
I
Maybe
think
more.
I've got 7 or 8 characters altogether.
And there's
Um,
also outfits for them, so it gets a little crazy.
yeah. But what happens is you pick your characters, and it's little animals like a raccoon or a chicken or a horse or a sheep, things like that. And so you'll pick your character, and then it drops you into one of the levels you can play. And there are things like there's one called the wind. It's the windmill or the farm. I don't remember, but it is a farm that has a windmill on it,
Hmm.
and you have to get to a flag that's at the top of the windmill. And to do that, what happens is that it randomly generates 4 objects that you can pick from. And each player picks one of those objects and then puts them in the environment. So it'll be things like a plank of wood or little rotating squares or a treadmill type conveyor belt thing, stuff like that. And
I
then
think it has as many objects as there are players
as there are
plus
players,
two.
yeah.
So
Uh,
there that way you have options to pick from even when you're last.
Yeah. And so each player will place those somewhere in the environment, and then the round starts. And the object of the game is to get to the platform as fast as you can. And the person who gets there first gets, additional points. There are other things, though, that you can put into the environment that are obstacles that you're trying to get the other players to kill themselves on. So, like spinning saws that rotate around a small square, or there will be saws that travel back and forth on a platform, or wrecking balls that swing back and forth and things like that. So you want to make sure you put things where you can jump onto them, but then also provide uh, obstacles for the other players, because you don't want them getting to the platform uh, before you do,
Or at all.
or at all. Yeah. So, and then at once everybody has either died or made it to the end, it'll give you points, and you get points for finishing, and then you get additional points if you're the first player to get there. You get additional points if your traps kill any of the other players, or if there are coins that are placed in the level, you'll get additional points for grabbing those. And you either play till a person wins a set number of rounds, or they obtain a certain number of points, and you'll just go back. You'll play in that level over and over and over again until somebody wins, and then it drops you back to the hub world, and you can pick another level, or pick a different character, or and things like that. So it's incredibly fun. It's incredibly chaotic. It's incredibly hectic, and you are both laughing and screaming at everybody at the same time. Um,
I I watch a lot of Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth content, and those guys, the Achievement Hunter guys, really love playing this game. So I've seen a lot of crazy stuff going on in that game, and it's always hilarious watching those guys play, and
yeah,
just
it's
it's always great.
It is incredibly fun. Um, it's one of those games that seems like it could be incredibly frustrating, but once you're in there and you're doing things with the other players and you're placing traps and you're seeing them get hit by those traps and they scream at you, but then you're laughing because it inadvertently causes funny things to happen in the level. Like there's this flower that will punch you and it'll launch you up in the air, and every once in a while the way you place objects in the environment will cause these funny chain reaction things to happen, because when your player dies they stay on the play field, you just can't move, they get like the x's over their eyes, and so like the flower will punch you up into the air and then you'll get hit by the wrecking ball, which will drop you onto a conveyor belt, and you'll slide along the edge of the conveyor belt and there'll be a fan that's blowing air up from that, and your dead body is just floating in the air. And it's incredibly funny to watch. It is a great party game. It has both local and online play. I haven't been able to try out any of the online stuff,
I've yet to buy the game, so I don't know either.
but it is incredibly fun. I highly recommend anybody that. I think it's on PS4, Switch, and Xbox One, so as well as PC. So it's out there for anybody on any platform to play, and cannot recommend this game enough. We have had so much fun. Every time I've played the game, it's been nothing but laughs the entire time. So highly recommend it. And then, of course, like you said, there are different outfits and things you can unlock. So you'll get, as you're playing through, there'll be a question mark that pops up on one of the levels, and you'll go, if you go to that level there'll be a box floating in the air somewhere, and you try to collect that box, and if you do it'll give you a randomly generated, not a randomly generated, but it'll give you a random item. So it'll be things like an additional character to play as, like a chameleon or a rabbit or something like that, or it will be pieces of outfits for the characters. And so like the chicken gets these big pants with like suspenders, and he has a mohawk and it'll be different colors. The horse has a top hat and a bow tie that he wears. The sheep gets a party hat and a Miss America sash that it can wear. uh, so, and it's just so much fun. And then of course there's a dedicated dance button.
Oh
So
yeah.
from the menu or in the level, you can hit a button and your character will start dancing, and they sing this little song. And each character has not only a unique dance, but they also sing a unique song. And so if all the players are singing their song and dancing at the same time, it is just this chaotic, noisy mess. But you're laughing because the dances they do are all silly. And it's I have not had as much fun playing a game as I've had playing this one in a while. So if you have it and you're interested in playing, I don't think it has cross-platform play, so you have to be on the same platform. But if anybody has this on the Switch and they want to play, I would gladly get in and play games with, because it is just insanely fun to play. So, but that is
Ul-
all that I have been playing.
So yeah, Ultimate Chicken Horse. Great game.
Buy it. Absolutely, absolutely. But that's what I've been playing this week. So let's take a quick break. We will come back. We have a Nintendo Direct to talk about, Ethan.
Spoiler.
Okay, before we get to the Nintendo Direct, Ethan, we have to talk about one other major thing that happened this week. And that is the long rumored introduction of Google into the console market.
Yes, the Google Stadia, however you
I think it's
say it.
pronounced Stadia.
The
This is
Google
not a console.
Sriracha. Got it. Sounds delicious.
So Google is getting into the console market, but they're not releasing a console. They are releasing a controller.
A controller.
Yes. Controller that you play all of your games on Stadia. Basically, what it is just it is a cloud streaming service that you will connect to Google data centers, and you will be able to play the games from their hardware in their data centers.
I think it was last week we kind of talked about the controller, or was it the week before?
We talked about, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, we talked about a rumored controller that was coming out. It turned out that was not the controller that is being released for the system. It's close. It is actually very close in terms of the
It
actual form factor.
it may have even been an early prototype design they had sitting around.
It is possible. But it does have labeled buttons like an Xbox controller, the buttons are in the same layout as the Xbox controller with A and X on the left
A
instead
B
of
X
Y
Y,
and B.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
They do have a dedicated picture streamy button thing on
mhm.
there,
this
as
this
well as another button that just takes you directly to the store if you're watching like a YouTube video through it to buy whatever game.
so yeah, this is very much integrated into YouTube, um, which makes sense because Google owns YouTube. So they showed off, like, if you're watching a trailer for the next Assassin's Creed game, and I think they were showing off Assassin's Creed Odyssey during this part, um, you will now see another button on YouTube videos that says "Play in Stadia." I think is what it said. You can click on that, and it will instantly launch the game. They're saying within just a few seconds, you would be able to start playing.
They also said you can, like, if you're watching a YouTuber play the game, you can actually drop in at the point where they're at in the game and play along from where
Yeah.
they're at.
They talked about challenges with people. So, like, if you do a specific thing in a game and you want other people to try to replicate that or see if they can do something similar, it will actually capture the game as it was when you were playing. So the amount of time you had left in a level, the number of lives, where the enemies were, things like that. It would capture all of that stuff, and you would be able to send that out to people on through friends lists or like Twitter or whatever, and it would have a link in there, and they could click on the link, and it would take them to that portion of the game, and they would be able to try out the thing that you were just doing. Uh, there's a lot of interesting stuff that they were showing off during this thing. They are very much integrating this whole thing though with YouTube, being able to start the game directly from a YouTube video, sharing directly to YouTube. They want everything about this integrated into YouTube in some way. It looks like.
All for that 4K resolution at 60 FPS
That's what they're
on
saying.
on a streaming platform.
You will be able to stream. They were saying they're targeting 4K 60 frames a second for streams. Of course, if your TV can't handle something like that, it'll downscale to 1080p or
Right.
whatever. Um, so,
I
but they,
This does actually look impressive for what it can do. It's just, are we ready for it?
I'm not so sure. We'll get to that here in just a little bit though. Let's go over some of the other stuff though that they have with like the controller. They are releasing a Stadia specific controller that, like Ethan says, has the buttons. That has the share button like every console at this point has. It has a button that will launch Google Assistant. So they were showing off things like if you're stuck in a level. I think they were showing off Tomb Raider for this part of it, where if you've reached a part of Tomb Raider where you can't figure out a puzzle or something like that, you can hit the Google Assistant button, ask it how to solve that puzzle, and it will show you YouTube videos of how other players solve that puzzle so that you could then do that yourself.
And as we all know, YouTube is the place to go to solve all your issues in video game solutions.
Well, for a lot of people, it is anymore.
I mean, I use it
So
it'll send me there quite a bit whenever I do a Google search if I can't figure something out. But
yeah,
there's a lot of times it's just a massive headache trying to figure it out because as soon as you hit play on there, you get this guy's like, "Hey, oh, blah 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 blah,"
yeah, I
and he goes on for like 5 minutes. You're like, "Dude, get to the game already! I just need to see what you're
immediately
doing."
turn those videos off because
It's
that's
like,
not what I'm there for. Um,
downvote, next video.
They did say that this controller will connect to Wi-Fi directly to Google's data centers. So you're not going through a computer, you're not going through a PlayStation, something like that. Um, and it will be compatible with PC, tablets, phones. They're saying you'll be able to play this on any device. Um, you will not have to have the Stadia controller. They have said that you will be able to plug USB controllers into a computer or any other device that you can plug a USB controller into and use that controller. But that they're saying that the Stadia controller is optimized for the experience.
Okay, I was kind of curious how you would go about doing the whole streaming on Twitch from that then, but that makes sense.
So they're really going to want you to stream to YouTube before you stream to Twitch. So
Oh,
some things we don't know about Stadia yet is any kind of cost. They did not say a word
they did
about
not.
cost. Whether you're going to be able to buy the games and they would show up in a library of your games, whether you have to, rent them for specific amounts of time, whether it's a subscription service. They did not mention anything like that at all. Um, so that is a big question mark that a lot of people have. And you were asking, are we ready for something like this yet? And that is going to be another big thing. You're going to have very uh, high speed internet in order to use this effectively, I think.
Yeah, so you'll have to live
And
on like East Coast, West Coast, or in any major city in the U.S. Or probably like any major city in whatever country you live in where it's supported.
yeah, places like Japan are probably not going to have a huge issue with something like this, but there's still a lot of places in the United States that not only do they not have like fiber internet, they don't have uh, very high speed internet still.
They still use
Um,
Hughes Web or whatever that's called. HughesNet.
so um,
Earthlink. There we go. That's an old one.
so it is going to be things like pricing, things like internet connectivity. Um, People are wondering, are you going to own any of the games that you have? Is this going to be something that should a company decide to delist the game from Stadia, would you ever be able to play it again at that point? Uh, there's a lot of questions left to be answered with this that we just don't know anything about. Um, my biggest thing with this is that they're just jumping feet first into this. They are going straight to the all streaming uh, future. And I'm not sure that that is the right way to go about it. There's, still time to be seen. I'm interested in giving this a chance. I've had experience with streaming services for playing games, and they've been pretty good now. Speaking specifically of like PlayStation Now, since I recently upgraded my internet to, fiber, it was a much better experience that time compared to my 100 megabytes uh, internet before that, where games would stutter and not connect at all in some cases. I think Microsoft and Sony are heading this direction. They're obviously heading this direction, especially Microsoft. They wanted to do that with the Xbox One, where it was all digital and you were streaming games and things like that. And they faced that backlash and quickly reversed that decision. And now they're easing their customers into that with things like Game Pass, where you can subscribe to the service, but you can still download the games to your device, to your Xbox. PlayStation does the same thing, where PS2 and PS4 games can be downloaded to your PlayStation. PS3 games can't because of the hardware incompatibility that's going on. But they give you the choice of either downloading the game or streaming the game. And I think they're going to do that for a while. I think even possibly Microsoft with their next system, they'll still give you the option to download games. But they're very quickly, I think, going to start heading to the Stadia type streaming future. as well. I think everybody wants to go that route. I think that's going to be something that is very much a thing in the future. Um,
Yeah, like the Microsoft Xbox One coming out that hasn't got a
doesn't
it doesn't
have
have
them.
the disc slot in there,
Yeah,
which we've known about for what 6 months or so now, if
yeah,
that. And we haven't seen anything on the PlayStation 5 yet, but there might be a SKU without that as well. So who knows?
that's entirely possible. But still, with those things, you'll be able to buy the games and download them to your system. Uh, they're still going to offer that option.
It's basically baby steps at this point still for, but Google's just like all in
Yeah,
on this right now.
yeah, they're and that's I'm not sure that that is the way to go yet. I think this baby steps thing that Microsoft and Sony are doing is is the way to go because we don't have the infrastructure or the mindset. There's still a lot of people that won't do this because they still really like their physical games or they like to have games on a hard drive so that they know it's there. They know they can access it even if they don't have access to the internet. Um, because there are still a lot of places in the country that either have very bad internet or have limited to no access to the internet at all. And I realize that that number is shrinking, by the day essentially. But
Right.
that number's still high enough that there's a lot of people that that's going to affect, and they won't be able to use something like Stadia.
I think I briefly mentioned it to you. This is like this is similar to something Sega would have done back in the day, where they're like 2, maybe 3 years into the not that like that. Their forward thinking on consoles just back in the day was phenomenal. Like the Sega Saturn was a multi-processor game console at the time, which was unheard of and crazy, which is why it was hard to make games for. And now it's like we have computers with like 8 core processors and or if more if not more. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could easily see Sega being the ones who were doing this instead, and I'd
Yeah.
be losing my mind at how awesome it may or may not be.
Like I have no doubt that this will be, this is the future. This is where we're heading. Um, People talk about that Netflix for video games a lot, and we're moving in that direction. But I think we're still really a few years out from that being possible enough because games are much more dependent on user input and that speed of input, and there's still some issues with control, input lag and things like that that they're going to have to deal with. I know they talked about having it down to like 160 milliseconds, which is not bad for most games. Most people wouldn't notice that, being a big deal, but online competitive shooters, that's a huge issue. That if one person has really, really good internet and another person has internet that can barely keep up, but still runs the game semi smoothly, they're going to be at a disadvantage to the person that has the really high internet. Um,
Right.
and that's like, if you and I were playing a game, I think, my internet might give me a slight advantage over yours at the moment because of where we live. Uh,
Now, if we're playing on PC, I'm going to have the superior advantage,
exactly. Uh,
just because my PC's a higher end that can handle more.
yeah. So there's definitely some issues to be worked out there. Like I said, that's the future. That's people are going to be receptive to that, but uh, games are a much different type of experience than a movie or a TV show, which is a passive experience rather than an active experience where it doesn't matter how fast you can push the play button on an episode of The Office or whatever, because all you have to do is do it once and that's it, and then you're just watching something at that point. You're not interacting with it and expecting that when I push a button that something happens immediately.
Right.
So um, but Google thinks that the time is now. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I know they're saying that they're going to have this out by the end of the year. So we need to have the rest of those questions answered. Price, uh, availability, ownership of the media. All of those things are going to have to be things that get answered, you know, to the satisfaction to a majority of the people that would be interested in this.
Yeah, because this would be something that's horrible to see just going coming out and then just being thrown to its death. Really.
Yeah. I mean, and we've seen other companies try to do this in the past, things like OnLive, but they were way ahead of where the infrastructure was for something like that when OnLive came out, what, a decade ago?
Oh gosh, feels like it died a decade ago.
So, um, this is going to be one of those things that it could be very impactful. It could push the other companies into the future a little faster, or this could come out and it could die a very quick, very ugly death. And then that puts people off to the idea of streaming video games altogether. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I'm interested in at least giving this a shot and seeing. My biggest issue is not necessarily the internet. My biggest issue is going to be pricing.
Exactly.
Because if I can if I can subscribe to Stadia for like $10 a month, like Microsoft does, I'd do something like that super quick. Microsoft is at the $10 price point. They're giving you day one AAA games for your $10 a month subscription. Sony's at $20 a month right now, and they're not giving you those day one releases. Their catalog is a little bit older. So, where is Google going to fall in that sort of spectrum? Are they going to go on the low end, hoping that if it is a subscription service, are they going to go on the low end, hoping that they get people interested and get those subscription numbers up just based on price? Or are they going to go something a little more expensive and giving people something that is more of a sort of premium type service? We don't know yet. So
We'll find out eventually.
yeah, I would imagine if not before E3, we'll find something out closer to E3. I don't know what Google's presence at E3 is going to be like. Are they just going to like slip in where Sony was at and take Sony's spot? Or are we going to hear something completely separate? I don't know. So I'm interested in hearing more about what they have to say about the service, and we will definitely be talking about this as we get more information and we get closer to whatever the launch of Stadia happens to be. So there you go. Do you have any other thoughts on Stadia?
No.
Okay. Well, then I guess it is time for us to move on to the Nintendo Direct. All right. So earlier this week, Nintendo announced that they would be doing a Nindies Direct presentation, and I think that happened on Thursday, if I remember correctly. It was Wednesday or Thursday.
I think it was Wednesday.
It might have been Wednesday, actually, because I was supposed to have been off on Wednesday from work, and I actually went into work, so I watched the Direct during the workday. But yeah, and they said it would be about 30 minutes. It ended up being just over 25, and they showed off a bunch of independently developed games. And like we did with the last Nintendo Direct, we're going to be playing that here for you and reacting and commentating over the top of it.
I have not actually seen the Direct, so yay.
That is true. You have not. So I actually was taking notes during the Direct. You have not seen it yet, so you'll be getting mostly live reactions because I did spoil a couple of titles to you that were coming out based on the direct. For the most part, these will be your live reactions to the thing, and I will be just talking about some of the games as they're being shown on the screen. So, you ready?
Sure.
Let's do this. Rated pending to M.
Switch.
Snap.
Need to turn my actual speakers down a little bit. That was an upside down 3.
I am Dr.
It was.
J.M. Lounsbury from the Ministry of Drink and Health Regulation. While many working adults
I knew exactly what this was just based off of what you're seeing on the screen when I first saw this.
Ministry of Health and Drink?
A very great annoyance which occurs often with milk occurs during the pouring of it.
This is such a weird way to debut this game.
You're bound to splash all over. Your whole day is ruined.
I really don't know what this one's for right now.
My day would be ruined if I spilled milk all over me. I don't like milk.
Yeah, this isn't We Happy Few, even though it screams that it is right now.
It does look a lot like We Happy Few, but no, it is not.
Gosh, those masks are creepy.
Positively as you approach your drinking vessel. I will now begin to pour.
I will begin to pour. That is more than 45 degrees, sir.
Oh my gosh. Cuphead.
It is Cuphead. I am
Why
so
did I
glad
not
that
realize that's what it was?
I am so glad this game is coming to Switch. They announced this game back in 2014, and I immediately wanted to play this game just based off of that art style. And then they announced that it was an Xbox exclusive.
Nope.
And I was so sad.
All the clues were there. He had a cup, he was filling it with fluid.
You can thank
Yeah.
MDHR for making their award-winning game so special, and our friends at Microsoft for helping us bring.
That is such a weird statement to hear from Nintendo.
As fans know,
Came from Microsoft.
Thanks to our friends at Microsoft.
Coming for his head, cup and all. In this run-and-gun action game, you'll dodge
Really
fire,
different compared
dish
to
out
what
your
we
own,
used to
whether
see
you
in
play
the
solo or invite a buddy along for the ride.
90s, where
Those
it's like
gorgeous hand-drawn
just
cell animations
competition
rendered in
and
classic
advertising at
1930s
least.
style look as
Yeah.
good as ever.
This
The
is
live jazz soundtrack
Nintendo and
will
Microsoft have to be
still
doing
charm and
something.
haunt you in the
There
best
has
way.
to be some sort
You'll
of
see why.
big partnership
Cuphead
that they're going to
launches
be
on Nintendo
announcing.
Switch April
It's
18th.
all
It's
thanks to
available for
Minecraft.
pre-purchase today.
Such a weird statement
Hello,
to
everyone.
say.
I'm Kirk Scott, your
I bet
friendly
PlayStation fans are
And
sad
I'm
that
Kate
they're still not
Casper,
getting
the Friendly
Cuphead.
Gamer. Thank you for joining as we
A little
showcase
bit.
upcoming games in our first Indie Showcase of 2019.
We couldn't wait to share the news about Cuphead.
Wonder where I
We're
can get a
just getting
Nintendo
started.
Switch
While we're
shirt
honored to
like
bring you
that.
game series like Super
Probably in
Mario,
New York.
Legend of Zelda, there are
Either
many
there, I had to
worlds
find
to
this guy and
explore.
steal it from him.
Created by our talented indie partners,
Please
these
don't steal
games
his shirt.
embody the quality
I don't
of
want to
games
have to
that
come
fans
bail
have
you
come to
out from
expect
whatever
from
jail
Nintendo
you end up in.
I don't know.
That's
They'd
right,
probably hit
Kirk.
me with a restraining
Developers
order. That
across
means
the
I would have
globe
a
have embraced
restraining order
Nintendo
from
Switch,
Nintendo.
and they have plenty more
So I'd have
unique
Nintendo's
experiences to share with
autograph.
everyone. Whether it's building a kingdom, vanquishing angels and demons, or
Is it
just
worth
kicking
it?
back and tending a farm, games
Well,
make our
Reggie's not
dreams a
working there
reality.
anymore, so.
With so
Well,
much
he's still
available on Nintendo
there.
Switch already,
In
we're
spirit.
delighted to show you that there's even more.
His last day is not till the 15th of April.
See for
He,
yourself.
he's in that lame duck phase right now.
First up
Yeah.
is Overland, a new take on the end-of-the-world
Overland.
narrative from the creator of Cannonball, Adam Saltzman. Not
Okay,
to mention the
a little
gorgeous
interested.
award-winning visuals.
This looks very
Dog's
different
name
than
is
Cannonball.
Meatball.
Uplifting original soundscape by Jocelyn Reyes. It's a squad-focused, turn-based strategy game where you're faced with difficult choices.
Oh, okay. It's one
Will
of
you
those
search
kind of
for
games.
supplies, heal a wounded ally, fight off a monster, rescue a helpless stranger?
It's a turn-based
save a
strategy
dog?
game, so I'm
Please
interested.
save the dog.
Yeah.
You can't do it all, so choose your actions wisely as your band of friends road trips across the United States. Sounds easy, right? Well,
It's
there's
like
a catch.
not
The
X.
farther
It's
west you
XCOM,
go,
but
the
not.
weirder things get. Plus, all levels, roadmaps,
XCOM
and
with
characters
zombies and
are
dogs.
randomly generated, so
I
every
think
Oh, he's limping.
XCOM has zombies in it now.
journey.
Oh,
Travel the post-apocalyptic
You don't
roads
wanna
of
encounter them,
Overland
they're
when
horrible.
it comes to Nintendo Switch this fall.
Overland.
One man is
This
prepared
right
to
here is.
destroy
I've seen
anyone
a
in his
small
sight
preview and it's got
using
my
moves
attention.
reminiscent of a
This is
violent
weird.
ballet, all while
Like,
guided by a
there's a spot in
self-aware
this that I-
banana
yeah, right here.
named Pedro.
Hatred.
Using his arsenal
That
of
is so
absolutely
weird.
crazy skills, you'll battle through the violent underworlds of Old Town, District
Like, it
Mall, and
reminds
beyond.
me kind
Go full
of
throttle with all your weapons
oh, what
and
is that
your
game
body,
on
jumping,
Xbox?
flipping, and swinging
Mr. Shifty.
while putting the drop on your
No, it's not
Since
Mr.
you'll be
Shifty,
running and
because that's
gunning,
top down.
there's bound to be
Um,
chaos. Slow things down
It
by shifting
reminds
the
me
slow motion
of,
pace
it
your
was from
action,
Chair Software.
dual-wield destruction with
I don't know who they are.
Side-scrolling shooter with giant mechs. Why can I not remember what that game is called?
I
In
don't
the
know.
emotional survival game NeoCab, fulfilling your job
It's
as a
Uber
rideshare
the game.
driver is the only way you might reunite with your best
I'll
friend
wait for the
Sally,
lift
who's
version.
wanted by Capra, an omnipresent megacorporation. In
Oh,
this
you better pull
dystopic
over.
future, you're the last human driver in a city overrun by automation. As you navigate the streets of the fictional
Last
California city
human
Los
driver.
Angeles, you'll meet a diverse cast of characters, each with their own story arc. Your choices, like picking passengers,
She's in a full
balancing
space
your
suit.
income, sustaining a positive rating,
There
and
is,
managing your emotions via the feel grid
Oh, there are
system
games that are kind of
all
like
elements
this
you
out
need to
already.
maintain to keep your job and find your friend.
Like those bartender
Oh,
working games on
don't
Steam or
forget,
something.
Capra
Yeah.
is watching.
Who was
NeoCab
watching?
is scheduled to arrive
Capra.
on Nintendo
I don't
Switch this summer.
NeoCab.
You know,
No,
I've
Uber
always
the
wanted
game.
to lead a pack of dogs in the wilderness.
Uber
This
2,
next game will be as
Lift.
close as I ever get. Let's check in with Lindsay
Lift
Rockford,
harder.
the game's director.
With a vengeance.
The Iditarod Dog Project is a grueling 1,000-mile journey embarked upon by teams of dogs and mushers of all ages, genders, and skill levels every year.
Wait, is this seriously a
Anyone can
dog
win, but
sled
many are
racing
just
game?
trying to finish, trying to prove to themselves that they can do it. As game director,
Wonder how
at
this will
Timberline
work, like, do
Studio,
you have
I
to
became fascinated, some might say a little
select
bit
a
obsessed
specific breed of
with this
husky or
idea. We
something?
knew we wanted to tell a
Raise it
story in the world
properly?
of
It's a
dog sledding.
Tamagotchi at
And
this
while I
point?
don't intend to race in the
No,
race
I think this
abroad
is
anytime
more of
soon,
like
we're
a
thrilled
survival
and a
horror,
little
like
bit nervous to
Firewatch
reveal
or
our
whatever
debut
that game
title,
is.
The Red Lantern.
Oh.
But it's like that style of game,
Do you
but
have
in
those moments
Alaska.
that stick out in your mind?
Firewatch,
When I was a kid,
Alaska.
I was told you
I'd play
already
that.
do, so choose wisely. I could be
This
an
looks
astronaut, a
really cool.
CEO,
Like, I'm
painter, a
interested in checking out
doctor.
this game.
Looks a
I could be
little
anything.
dark and snowy.
Hi, I'm supposed to achieve great things.
Of course you are.
Unfortunately for me,
Shooting
there
star.
are
Quick, make a
so
wish!
many mistakes.
I wish for more wishes.
Turns out they tend to remember.
Ixnay on the
things
wishing
more.
for more wishes.
Then I wish for more
Hi,
genies.
I'm a disappointment.
It's like,
No,
take-
you're not.
So I've decided to become something else.
The dog was the one talking, not her.
Something that can't
Oh.
be forgotten. I've got a plan. Get a van, fill it with dogs, go to Alaska, race.
That dog is
the
very
Iditarod
organized.
Race and finish. Nothing could take that from me. And things we're going to plan.
Oh,
Dogs, sled.
You got all the stuff.
so this is just an expansion
On
to
way.
Tin Dogs, right?
Oh, I don't think so.
However, things tend to go to plan right up until they
Oh gosh.
don't.
Oh,
Oh,
the dog is being eaten by a bear.
the Red Lantern.
Like, I'm
You
very
are the musher,
interested
training for
in
the
checking this
grueling
game out.
Iditarod race. With your trusty crew of dogs, navigate the
Oh no,
Alaskan
she's down the
wilderness to
dog.
Find your way home.
Oh, the dog got eaten by a
Combining
bear.
world-like elements into this story-driven
Well,
adventure
then you
game,
replace it with the
hundreds of
bear.
unique events can occur.
Yeah, I want
Tend
to
your
see you do
dogs,
that.
Mend your own wounds and hunt to survive. Thanks to the Nintendo Switch system's gyro controls, you can look around the environment with a simple turn of the system in handheld mode. The Red Lantern
What if you're
races
playing
onto Nintendo Switch
docked?
later this year.
Then it's gonna use the gyro
I don't know about
controls.
you, Katie, but when I play horror games, I jump a lot.
Well, yeah, that's their point.
Fortunately,
That
Darkwood is
is
known for that
the
slow
idea,
burn on the
yes.
scare meter.
This
Don't
doesn't
get
look
me
that.
wrong, Darkwood will creep you out, all while changing the perspective on survival horror games.
Oh wait, I've seen this
Craft
before.
weapons, prepare
I don't
traps,
like
fortify
this.
hideouts. You'll explore
forget if it
and
was
scavenge the
8-Bit
eerie
Ron
forests
or
of the Soviet
Markiplier I
bloc
saw
by
playing
day,
it, but
then hunker
it is a
down the
very
hideout at
creepy
night.
game.
With nightmarish forces corrupting the woods,
Guess
wait
who will
and
not be
pray
playing
for
it.
the sun to come up the
Me?
next morning.
Me.
world of Darkwood is
I'll watch
procedurally
someone play it, but I won't play
locations
it.
and events will vary for each playthrough and player. There's no linear path in these woods, so proceed with caution.
Yeah, this is
and know each
definitely not
decision
my
will impact
kind of game.
you and the inhabitants of Darkwood.
Yeah, it's one of those where like you
Darkwood
want to be back
creeps
inside at
into the
night
Switch
and
this
stuff,
May.
and make sure everything's boarded up, and
This next
stuff
game
just
has
happens
both
during the
style
night, and you don't
and
want to
substance.
be part of it,
Katana Zero.
Yeah.
or it be part
you
of you.
play as a well-trained assassin, the Dread.
Oh yes, I
capable
remember
of
seeing this
instantly
advertised at
taking out any
GDQ.
obstacles in your path.
Really?
Yes, it looked
Mysterious
really
powers
awesome.
and precognition allow you to both see the future and manipulate time. As you cut through each level, you'll leave no breathing bodies behind. I must
Of course
recommend
not. You're a
caution,
ninja.
since your foes can return the favor by eliminating you
It's like
in
the
a
best
single
part.
hit.
This looks
But don't
really
fret.
cool.
The game literally rewinds to the beginning of each
Has a
level
rewind
for you to
feature.
learn
I
and
know.
improve. Yes, that should work. After a hard-fought mission, sip some tea and try to rest. The next day, you'll take
Of
a seat on the
course, while you watch
therapist's
TV.
couch and talk through your demons. Of course, make sure to get a much-needed refill of your medication before the next
right.
mission. Now go forth, katana in hand, and remember
Go forth and kill people.
leave no survivors.
It's kind of like a lot of games, right?
slashes its way to Nintendo Switch
Katana
on April
Zero
18th.
by
It's
Devolver
available
Digital.
for pre-purchase today.
I will play that game.
That's why I heard about it at GDQ.
Wait.
Devolver Digital.
Let's save that joke for the developer. Wouldn't it be way cooler if they introduced the next game?
Totally. So let's
Wow,
pass
that's
it
not
over to
scripted
our
at
friends
all.
Double Fine.
Hi, I'm Lee Petty from Double Fine Productions.
Double
Hi, Lee.
Fine.
Acting and Headlander. And today,
Is this Costume
we're gonna
Quest
show you
3?
Something that has never been seen before. I heard
It's not.
Tim
It's Tim
Schafer.
Schafer.
Don't spoil it.
Tim Schafer, the game.
Whoa. No, he
Oh,
just told you
he
the
was
name
like
of the game.
Kazooie and what was that guy's name? Tim's backpack, or Tim was in the backpack,
The world,
like Kazooie,
twice
Banjo-Kazooie.
destroyed, lies in ruin.
This looks really cool.
It's a sun and a
It
palm
is.
tree.
It is a post-apocalyptic nuclear radiation
We are
wasteland.
to survive.
Why's that guy got a hat and sunglasses on?
If the world is to blossom
He
again,
died watching.
But he had nothing else but shoes
we
on as
must
well.
find the one who is
So he was completely naked except for his shoes and his hat and his sunglasses.
Exact. Oh, the game's called Rad.
The game is called Rad.
Hey Tony,
Huh.
that's rad.
That is rad. That's what Tim Schafer said. I am curious to know exactly what's going on because you'll see that every place that he goes, he's leaving freshly renewed grass behind him.
You can see he's a different person each time too.
mutation.
Well, he can mutate.
Oh,
So-
oh gosh.
Tight.
Yeah, my notes when I was watching this just said poop eggs.
I don't think I want to play this game anymore.
You lay eggs that look like miniature versions of yourself when they hatch.
Like little mutant versions of yourself, and you're already a mutant. That makes them some kind of double mutant hybrid.
The child shows promise, but the time has come for
it's
the
got a little
real
slimy dill on
quest
his
to
back.
begin. You are
It's Ghost Rider!
I was just gonna say that.
Or actually, it's Groot with the Ghost Rider ability. There we go. I am Groot.
Like anything that Double Fine makes, I am interested in checking out.
Trust me when I say, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into with this one.
Unless you're talking about a pinball action adventure game, you're right.
Pinball action adventure?
That's exactly what this is. Not only is Creature in the Well a world debut, it's also a top-down action-adventure game inspired by the fine art of pinball.
Like we've
It all
seen
takes
a
place
bunch
in
of
the
these sort of
desert,
pinball
where a
adventure
giant
games
creature has
lately.
entrapped townsfolk in
Yeah, it's
an
not so
eternal
much that it's
sandstorm.
pinball as much as
As
it's
the last engineer tasked with
It looks
powering
more
direct,
like
directional
Breakout, really.
reflection
your
stuff,
mission
really.
is to finish the job once and for all.
But I guess calling it
Before
pinball makes
the
more
world beyond the
sense.
sandstorm is forgotten. Luckily,
I think it's
over
more like
15
Breakout
weapons are at
than
your
pin.
disposal, and each one has the power to
Kind of noticing a theme here with these Nindies. They're all like
Well, there's a
post-apocalyptic.
lot.
in your environment.
Yeah.
The controls may be simple, but
There's
there's
a
deep
lot of
well
pinball
skills
type
to
stuff there.
master across all 8 handcrafted dungeons. While you fight for
Handcrafted
survival,
dungeons.
savor every corner of this painterly world in all its pinball glory. When Creature in the Well emerges from the depths this summer.
I don't want the creature to emerge from the well.
No, it needs to stay in the well.
I remember when Bongo Bongo escaped from the well, don't you?
Outnumbered and hell-bent on enacting his revenge.
He is
On the bright
beating
side,
people with carrots.
He's got grit in his gut and a
I bet they
wolf
never
on
saw it
his hand.
coming.
That means you don't mess with this guy. The world is his weapon, and in this
He can
fast-paced
chop
That
down
looks
trees with one
insane.
swing.
from Paper Cult, it's yours too. So, choreograph the most spectacular combos.
This is like non-stop
Everything from hatchets to
crazy.
ladders to
This looks really cool.
Your alternative? Basically just death. Better improvise
Oh.
and fast, as our lone anti-hero, Mr. Wolf, brawls his way to
Mr.
the very
Wolf.
heart of the mystery that plagues him. Find out just how twisted this Western revenge tale will
Blood
get
Roots.
when Blood Roots comes to Nintendo Switch this summer.
That's a name of a game.
Yep.
Hey, it's World of Warcraft.
I'm very, very interested in this one. I thought at
So you got
first
your
it was like,
Taurens right there.
when I first saw it, I thought it was like Monster Hunter only backwards, and the monsters were hunting you.
Oh gosh. Technically, that is Monster Hunter when that happens anyway.
Like, I want to see more about this game. This looks really cool. I'm very curious to see what the gameplay of it actually is.
What? Bow to your king, minions, or something. I don't know. Their story becomes yours. Pine.
A primal fantasy collides with the advanced game design of today in Pine.
There we go.
In this open-world, third-person action-adventure game, the world and your enemies will adapt to your choices.
I don't know how to feel
You'll
about
travel
this.
to 6 diverse biomes across miles of
I
terrain
like this
and
visual
encounter
style
5
a lot.
factions of creatures itching to dominate the food chain.
I don't know, it seems a little
The only way
roughly
to
done.
prepare is to scavenge, barter, harvest, craft items, and sell them at the market to stock up.
Like
on
something was
supplies.
sacrificed just so they
It'll
could
be
get
a
it to
true
run or
fight for
something. I don't
survival
know.
When Pine goes wild on Nintendo Switch this August.
I'd have to see more just to know more.
Man, I
of it.
love
It's
arcade.
entirely possible that they
But I'm thinking
did,
it's time we bring some
you
more
know,
to
go with a
Nintendo.
slightly,
How about some games
you know,
for
smoother
Robbie
art
Ismail
style.
and
If
Jan
they
Bailey
tried it with
Raymond of
something
independent
more like
studio
Horizon,
Glambeer?
and it just
Yes.
wasn't working on Switch.
But the people want to know.
True,
what
but I
games
don't
and
know.
when.
You won't
It's
have
like
to
it was
wait
missing
long
some
for
like
endless
some
world
frames of
gaming.
animation
The Super
on
Crate Box is
certain
coming out
things.
next month. It'll be
Super
the
Crate
first time
Box.
players can engage in
Super Crate
fast-paced
Box.
multiplayer matches, a feature that's exclusive to the Nintendo Switch version.
Plus, Nuclear Throne comes out today. It's an action roguelike.
This
about
game came out
humans
today,
spending their
OMG.
day fighting for the throne in a gritty, post-apocalyptic world. Whether
More
solo
Another
post-apocalyptic?
post-apocalyptic
or
world.
I know.
Co-op mode, you can become ruler of the wasteland.
Oh, and we have a new game announcement, Vlambeer Arcade. It's a collection of bite-sized games which will have a growing catalog over time, starting with Ultra Bugs.
It looks like the
Ultra
more
Bugs
you
is a
destroy, the more that
fast-paced,
builds back up.
high-score-centric game
Yeah.
where you pilot a ship to fight endless space bugs that split up into more space bugs when you defeat them.
Of course they do.
But never fear. Defeating the occasional boss monsters, Ultra Bugs, will unlock enemy DNA that you can use to customize your ship.
Enemy
Vlambeer
DNA.
Arcade with Ultra Bugs is coming to Nintendo Switch later this year.
Later this year.
No one ever wins. You just do a
Shoot
little
fans,
better each
We
time.
shot planes
Exactly.
out of the sky, destroyed starships in outer space, and now the 2D shooting genre is going underwater. In this aquatic world,
What?
you'll unload a variety of weapons and power-ups in
Ah, he got eaten by a shark.
versus modes for 1 to
Is
4
that like a
players or
robot?
bots. This multiplayer
Centipede in the
underwater
water?
shooter
What?
comes with an oceanic amount of content.
The Unleash is ready.
150 challenges across 8 game modes, including 5 versus game modes and 5 entire worlds to battle across in adventure mode. You'll be able to toggle between classic dual-stick controls.
It's a robot
and motion aiming,
turtle and
whether you're
crab.
playing locally or
The
online.
shark's the only thing not a
The
robot,
online
as far as I
functions
can
include
tell.
Matchmaking support, and you can engage with friends via in-game voice chat or the party system.
In-game
See
voice
where you
chat?
are
voice chat.
on the leaderboard when
That's,
seeing
like,
Sonic
unheard of.
make a splash on Nintendo Switch this
On
summer.
Nintendo.
Next up, check out the newest game from our friends at Inti Creates.
Inti Creates. I've heard of them.
They make Mega Man.
Cowbell.
The long-awaited sequel to the mutant blasting action adventure game
Blaster Master.
Hey.
Zero is coming to Nintendo Switch.
Gotta save your frog, right?
Blaster Master Zero's already on Switch.
Blaster Master Zero Dose.
Sophia is equipped with the Gaia system.
Or 2.
Harness SP
This is
for
Blaster Master Zero 2.
anytime it
Blaster Master Zero 2.
takes damage.
Not to be confused with Blaster Master 2, which was horrible.
Powerful sub-weapons and blast any mutant scum that
I really need to play these games. I own the DLC for the first one.
I think there's like
have
one
not
thing you
ever-
don't know on there.
Yeah. I have
Look
not
at this.
played
This is
the
a Mega
game.
Man Zero character.
If timed just right, they can
Well, they are the, developers of Mega Man now.
lots of damage back at the enemy.
They're the ones who did Mega Man Zero. That's why I know this.
The stage is set in outer space, and there's more to explore than ever before.
Pretty sure they did
as
Zero.
you travel across the galaxy to a host of different planets and their orbiting planetoids. Search for new items. that
Impact
power up
Wave,
both
Energy
Sophia
Guard,
and
Flash
Jason.
Sphere, Spuppa.
During their journey, Jason and Eve will cross paths with a motley cast of fellow metal attacker tank pilots and their support droids. Will their fellow
Aw.
pilots become trusted friends or bitter enemies?
Probably both.
The answer's yes.
Blasting action is back.
Blaster Master Zero 2.
Zero 2.
Zero
Available
faster.
today.
She's got blue on her.
Why are you upside down right now?
Well, there are many theories as to why, but the true reason remains a mystery.
It's a green screen.
Perhaps there's an alternate dimension within these very walls.
The camera is upside down.
recently laid dormant.
See, Reggie wouldn't allow for
Someone
this
flipped the camera.
bad script, but he's
No one
in
can be
lame duck
sure.
phase, so he doesn't care.
Reggie's been part of plenty of bad scripts in the past.
I know.
Stranger.
Oh, I
Things
haven't seen
3.
the new trailer for the actual series.
I haven't watched it either. I need to.
I heard there was like a really scary monster. We've talked about this
I
one
bet-
before, though, haven't we?
We've talked about. There was like a mobile game.
I remember seeing like some of the footage here.
Available July 4th. Same day the show comes out.
It's no longer a mystery that
Oh, it's
the
not coming
official
out on
game of
Halloween this
Stranger
time.
Things Season 3 is
Nope.
coming to Nintendo Switch.
That's good. I don't have to wait
This
as long.
retro-style adventure game lets you play through and delve deeper.
It also
into
means the kids don't have
events of
time to
Season
grow up
3
between recordings
alongside
so
a friendly
often.
local
Exactly.
co-op. Explore the town
Like, the one kid
hallways,
actually grew his
solve
front
puzzles,
teeth in that
battle
amount of
enemies,
time.
And uncover mysteries as one of 12 playable characters from the hit original series. Cancel your long weekend plans because the game arrives on Nintendo Switch the very same day as the third season.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the show. I don't know that I'm gonna play the game.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, no plans to play it either. Totally gonna watch it.
Okay, That's quite a selection of games coming soon to Nintendo Switch. But guess what? There are
Guess
tons
what?
of great indie games available right now on the system.
Right now,
To celebrate indie games and their creators, we're running a sale on some of these fantastic offerings.
you are. No
From
way.
Firewatch to Yoku's Island Express. There's
What's
no
Yoku's
shortage
Island
of
Express?
games of distinctive
I
worlds
don't
at
know.
your fingertips.
Thimbleweed Park. Yeah.
Blossom Tales. If you haven't played Blossom Tales, you absolutely need to play Blossom Tales.
We'd like to
You'll
thank
have to
all
talk
the
me
indie
into it.
developers that bring their
That is a
incredible
link
game
to the
work
past
to Nintendo Switch. And the avid
in,
players that support indie
Switch
games.
form.
We are extremely grateful.
Huh. Do you hear something?
Huh. What is that music? Crypto the Necro Dancer.
Almost out of this crypt.
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of this series.
This is
I love this game. It is so good. If nothing else, the soundtrack is fantastic.
Why does it look like Zelda?
Wait. I think I was called here for a purpose. It looks like I've got work to do. And this
Okay, it
time,
is Zelda now.
I have help.
I have help. It's Link and Zelda. I have watched this trailer a billion times already. I cannot wait to play this game.
Is this like one of the first Zelda games since the 3DO where Zelda is playable?
It may be. It's also the first indie developed Zelda game, which is a big thing. Like that right there was all I needed to see in the Direct. And I was super happy because I love Crypt of the Necrodancer, and getting to hear those Zelda songs done in that style is going to be fantastic. Like, I am very curious about how the development of this game came along. Did Nintendo approach them? Did they approach Nintendo? They don't just hand out their franchises to anybody.
I want to say it's usually one of those things where Nintendo has them. It's like, hey, can you make a game? And then they're like working on whatever, and then Nintendo's like, no, we want you to do this. And like, oh, well, why didn't you say so to begin with? And then they do it. Like Hyrule Warriors, when that those guys were actually trying to make a Zelda game instead of a Hyrule Warrior. What it was a Muso, and Nintendo's like, no, we want a Muso game with Zelda characters.
Yeah. Well, with like, them getting to do that, Ubisoft doing not only the Mario and Rabbids game, doing Star Fox with that one game, Starlink, and then now these guys, that opens the possibility for Nintendo to let other developers do a lot of different things. I'm very curious to see what brought the change about with Nintendo and letting other developers do these things and experiment with their franchises. Because in the past, they've been very stingy about their properties.
Very true. I don't know. I might be trying a Necromancer game.
That game, have you played the first one?
I said Necromancer. Necrodancer.
Necrodancer.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I've never tried it. I've seen them played, and when I see them played, it's just utter chaos because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And usually you can't hear the music from other people's LPs on that, so
yeah,
it makes it even worse.
The music is very integral to the gameplay in that because you have to move along with the beat of the music. And if you can't hear the music, I mean, there are some visual clues, but if you can't hear the music, it is very hard to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very interested in seeing, they showed off some stuff that is very Zelda specific. I'm very, very curious to see how they're going to implement that into the Crypt of the Necrodancer style of gameplay. And that game's not that far out. It comes out next month. So we're just about 3 weeks away from the release of that game. So, but that one, it was that and Cuphead, the two bookends to that Direct were the things that got me the most excited. And then there's some stuff in the middle. I'm like, yeah, there's some stuff I really like, some stuff I'm really interested in playing, and then other stuff that I'm probably never going to touch. But the first one and the last one, by far, those are both going to be day one purchases for me.
Okay. I will be thinking it over for myself whether I want to buy them or not.
So Cuphead guaranteed, because that's one I've been wanting to play since it came out, and I was not going to buy an Xbox just to play that one game. So now that that's coming out, and I really, really want to know what is going on with Microsoft and Nintendo right now, because they've said that game, not day one, or at least after the game is out, there will be an update that will add Xbox Live functionality to Cuphead. You'll be able to get achievements in the game, Xbox Live achievements in Cuphead. So we haven't really seen any of that rumored stuff with the Xbox Live functionality coming to the Switch. You know, they announced it for mobile platforms and Mac, I think. But Switch was also a part of that rumor, and they didn't really talk about that this week at GDC like I had kind of thought they were going to. So that's going to be interesting to see exactly what that's going to be. Is there going to be like an Xbox Live app on your Switch that you'll be able to access so you can see achievements, you can see friends lists, you can see things like that? Or is this just going to be you can earn achievements, but you'll have to go to like the PC to check it out. You have to log into Xbox Live to play the game, which you can already do on Switch because of Minecraft. You already log into Xbox Live on that. You gain achievements in Minecraft for the Xbox on your Switch. So this will be the second game that will let you do that. There's some very, very interesting things happening at Nintendo right now, which are going to lead to some probably interesting things over the next few months and years. So. But there you go. Do you have any other thoughts about that Nintendo Direct?
Yes, but it's not for this show.
Okay. So, well, I guess then that will be the show for this week. So, thank you, Ethan, for being on the show.
The more you weigh, the harder you are to kidnap. Stay safe. Eat cake.
That's good advice.
Yes.
Delicious advice. If you want to reach out to us, we have tons of new ways to do so. You can email us at podcast@procgent.com. That's PROCGENT.com. You can send us a voicemail if you want by clicking on the voicemail link on the right side of the website. You can send us voicemails up to 90 seconds in length, and we'll play those on future episodes of the show and respond to the questions that you have. If you like what we do here, you can now support us on Patreon, patreon.com/pgint. Patreon supporters will get a video version of the podcast a day early. These will normally go out on Tuesdays. Patreon supporters will get them on Monday. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/progenint. Check out our YouTube channel that we've got and see the content we've got going on up there. And then we still do have the Facebook group where you can interact with us on a daily basis as well.